A very good morning, everyone, and let's see the part two of our EVM paper, right? And remember, we have in our previous class we have studied about question number one that was from the paper October November 2021 series, right? 0680/22 was the code. So today, just a quick recap. Let's see. I'll just move to that. Right. If you remember, EVM 0680 2020, 2021, and we have selected the paper 22, October, November 2021, the recent paper of EVM. So we have finished question one there, and we are going to begin with question number two, right? Okay. Now here, the fact sheet is given here about a blue-sided frog. Okay, so what they have mentioned here is about these are the nocturnal animals. So I'll just give a quick summary. These are nocturnal animals. So please remember, uh, okay, they are endangered species. Basically, they are camouflage. They can change their color, and very important is their food chain. So please remember that the food chain. Read this paragraph very carefully. Okay, reading is very important. If you read the paragraph and mark the important terms, so that would be very easy actually for answering the questions. Okay, so let's see the first question what they have given here. Most of the answers you will find in the paragraph only. So the first question here says the use the fact sheet to write a food chain for the blue-sided tree frog, which includes four tropic levels. So four tropic level, if you read the few paragraphs like this third last paragraph of this thing, then you can easily find out the answer. So let's check out the answer here. The producers always at first an arrow marks which represents the flow of energy. Then we have cricket. Yes, the cricket feeds on the grass, so cricket is there, and then we have the blue side frog and then snake. As they have mentioned, you can give four tropic levels. There you have producer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, and tertiary consumer here. So that's enough actually, which gives 2 marks here. Suggest how the ability to change color at night is benefit to the tree frog. As you can see that they change their color, basically they turns themselves into dark green. So that is one of the so they can do camouflage. So what is the use of the camouflage actually to protect them from them, protect themselves from the predator? So we can mention here protect or save their life from predator. Okay, so predators in this way they can actually save their life here. The next one, disease and the climate are the two reasons why the blue-sided tree frogs are actually decreasing. Can you tell some other reason? Now let's see. This carry for 2 marks. So basically they are asking two other points. Suggest two other reasons here why the number is decreasing. So we can say that as we can see in the food chain, the snake is one of the predator of the frog. So you can say that in that particular area, that is right in Costa Rica, number of predators are increasing. So that is one of the reason, maybe because they suggest other reasons. So one of the reason is number of predators are increasing. Second thing you can say that about because illegally they are also trapped, okay, or collected. So we can mention here poaching or poaching. So poaching is one of the reason here. Or mention, let's see one more, hunting. Please remember, do not write anything beyond the given space area. Okay, that won't be get scanned and it won't be included in your main answer. So please avoid that, right? So this is one of the extra things. So one is the predators are increasing, poaching condition is increasing, and let's see the hunting here. Moving to the next question. Hope you understood about this paragraph. It's very easy. Now, next one is about a table that is shown here, and they are doing capitative breeding here because the number is decreasing. So, identify which capitative breeding program is the least successful at hatching eggs into tadpoles. As we can see, this is showing the percentage of eggs hatching into tadpole. You can see 30, 52, 88 representing to the respective breeding programs, and the least one is 10. So this is nothing but D, which is representing the lowest one here. Okay, I'll just increase. I hope this will give you the clear picture. Okay, that's how it is. Okay, moving to the next part. On the grid, plot a bar chart for the percentage of adult frog still living after 1 year for the four breeding programs. So we can see the four breeding programs here: A, B, C, and D. And this is the thing that you are keeping in the bar chart. So that's the data that you are putting in the bar chart: percentage of adult frog still living after 1 year. So the bar chart you can mention. Please remember, whenever you are drawing a bar chart, use pencil which is pointed so that you can draw lines properly. Second, always show the scale, x-axis and y-axis. This is very important. So let's see on x-axis what we have. On x-axis, we are going to have, draw a line with the pencil which represents x-axis, and x-axis represents breeding program. Okay, so this is the breeding program on x-axis, whereas on y-axis we have percentage of adult frogs still living after 1 year. So we have the highest one is 92, so we can divide it in the form of 10 each segment. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the highest one goes here 10. So let's see: 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Now it's only important thing is you have to use the bar. So let's see, this is our A, a B representing C and D. So just for showing purpose, please don't use color markers or sketch pens during the bar graph. Very important. You're only using the pencil. So just for representation purpose, we are using here the color. So the first one is breeding program A shows 30. So you can just draw a bar graph. Then the second B program shows, the first program A shows 45. My mistake. So there you have 45. Yep. You can just make a line. That's A, 45. The second one shows about B, 12. So B12, we can go with this part. Right? So this is B12. The third one is C. C shows for 92. So let's go for the 92 here. And 92 will give you this value. So I think correct. So that's the value of the C breeding program. And the last one is D. Here we have to mention D. D was 42. So 42 goes with any other color. 42. Dekho 42. Yeah, here we have 42. That's it. So these are your bar graphs, which is representing the, voila, it's representing the percentage of adult frog after 1 year, and directly it will give you a very good marks. That's around 4. And 4 marks if you follow the steps here: x-axis, y-axis, draw with a pencil, and use the proper scale. Okay, that's one thing. Next one, suggest a limitation of the data set in the table. What is the limitation with this? The limitation is nothing but the drawback. So what would be the drawback here? Basically here we are missing the control data. Okay, controlled data is missing from the environment here. So during this experiment, there was no control data used. We can do that, which carries only 1 marks basically. So that's how we have done with this question. Let's move to the next one here. A blue-sided tree frog. Again, there is some paragraph related to the disease here, that they are suffering from some fungal disease. Number of ponds. Student do some test over that. Okay, they are testing the animals here. Now here we can see that visiting 5 ponds during the night, analyze the pond water for common pollutants. Then we have testing the pond water for the fungus. Use a quadrant to sample an area all around the edge of the pond, counting the number of blue side frogs. Now, state one benefit of choosing this pond at random. Now, it's very simple. If you know, this is all basically related to your knowledge based question and direct from the question textbook. So this is giving you sampling will give an accurate result. Okay, so that's why the what's the benefit in that? That's the benefit, your accurate result. Suggest why this is a good sampling practice. Why that was a good sampling practice? Because it always gives an average value, and average value will give you some nearby and accurate results here. So that's why we should always use the sampling method that they have given there and finding out the average or the mean value. Now, suggest two limitation of this method. There is a limitation with this method because these are frogs. So the limitation would be they are moving animals. So again and again you capture the same animal. Maybe you will have confusion with the countings and all. And most important, as they are nocturnal animals, they can do camouflage. So sometimes you may not got the same organism or you may miss the organism. So that is one of the two limitations here for 2 marks, moving animal and camouflage. Right. Moving to the next question here. This is also a direct question. They have shown you a 2-meter area where sampling has been done, right? Sampling area, the diagram shows a pond where blue side frog lives. So that's the sampling area here. The pond is there. And describe how you could use a quadrant to record the number of blue side frog at this pond. So very simple here, the sampling area is already mentioned. So just follow the textbook content. In the EVM textbook, you already have the sampling method. Okay, so this is the direct question. You can just directly go with the sampling method, how it is done. I'll just give some few points here. What you're doing, you're actually dividing the large area. Okay, you're dividing the large area basically in quadrant. Okay, now next one is you count the number of species in the quadrant. So number of species in each quadrant. So you count the number of species in each quadrant. Finally, what you do, you just multiply the number of species into number of species, right? Multiply the number of species in each number of species with quadrant. Okay, suppose you have selected 5 quadrants and each quadrant, right? So we have 5 quadrants and each quadrant is having, let's see, 3 organisms. So organisms here, 5 into 3, that means average or mean. Around 15 organisms are present in that quadrant area. Okay. Now that was the answer here, which gives 4 marks. So it's a direct question. Please follow the textbook for more understanding of the sampling method. Moving to the next question here about Costa Rica, about the volcano. Yes, they have linked the chapter with the volcano also. Here you can find out their first question is about, they have given you some area distance from the Arenal volcano per kilometer and the population to that. So if you see that population near to this, away from the volcano, it is around 30 lakhs 27,000. Whereas if the range is from 11 to 30, the number is 96,000. 5 to 10 kilometers, it is 15. And near to the volcano, people population or the population of human being is 3,429. That is very low near to the volcano. So the first question that they asked you, suggest economic impact for people living in the Arenal region if the Arenal volcano erupts again. So what would be the problems actually? Impact. So impact here we can mention. Okay, please check out this point. So first of all, it will affect the biological animals there. Okay, BIO. It can affect the biological world there. Next one is ecology or ecotourism. Then tourist, right? Then we have ecology, and then the people, those who are living there. Day to day life will be problematic here if there is a sudden eruption again. Loss of life, infrastructure, and all also can be mentioned, but they are asking in, yeah, infra. So infrastructure will also get affected if there is an eruption. Next, moving to the Costa Rica has a disaster preparation plan that will be used if the Erasal volcano erupts again. Suggest a suitable disaster preparation plan. So what is the suitable disaster plan? First one, 3 marks, so 3 points. Evacuation is very important. Okay. Second thing, look for the warning symbols or news updates. That is one thing. Drill method is also one of the method there is there. Okay, and direction of the lava, update with the content where the direction of lava is moving. So that is one thing. Suitable disaster preparation plan here. Okay, evacuation, warning symbols via media, and the drill method. Right. Now, this is also a direct question. I think you already know about this. Use the diagram to describe how geothermal power plant used to generate electricity. So this is directly you can actually explain the diagram here. As you can see, hot water with a high pressure moves out from the cracks, right? Now here there is the hot water which is moving outside because it's a high pressure here which has been converted. Water has been converted into steam. The steam actually now turns the turbine or rotates the turbine. Turbine is connected with a generator produces electricity, and the electricity is now transported to the nearby village or the factories or the city, whereas the cooling tower will cool the steam, that's converting the steam into water again, and now the water is again sent back to the cracks in rocks. Again, it will do the heating process. Heating process converts the water into steam, and the process goes on. So directly you can explain the thing here. So what you have to show? Water is heated. That's a symbol for heat. Triangle gets converted into steam. Steam is turning the turbine. Turbine in return produces. We have turbine connected with generator, and generator produces electricity, right? So this is how the electricity is produced here, used to generate electricity, and then electricity is transmitted to the nearby areas, right? So water, steam, turbine, generator, and electricity. Use the diagram to explain this one. It's very easy to make and get 4 marks. Paper 2 is very easy if you read the content properly, the passages, okay, and try to understand what the examiner wants to ask you. Okay, stick to the content only. That's very important here. The next one is says about only 30 countries in the world use geothermal power to generate electricity. Suggest two reasons why only a small number of countries. Now we know that there is some limitation. They're asking directly the limitations here, but suggestions involved in that. So what would be the first thing? First one is geographical area. Okay, location, geographical area you can mention, or the second one is it's expensive, right? Maintenance and it is very much expensive. That's why very small number of countries are using it. Suggest other opportunities for people living near the volcano. So people living near the volcano may have different job opportunity, right? So what we call it as, let's see, it can act as a tourist spot, it can act as a hot spring area. Okay, You can use the land for the agriculture, but for a limited time actually. Okay, because lava, magma, basically they are a rich source of minerals, so it's very good land for the agriculture purpose, right? So the new land formation also takes place, and that is what we have some suggestions or opportunity for the people who are living near the volcano. Done. Okay, next one. Volcano emits sulfur dioxide, and this is what the content is given. So you have to make a data week 1 to week 8. Check out the pH here. pH is actually decreasing if you read the question. So they asked you present the data. Data is very simple to present. It can give you 3 marks. So just you mention here when you are presenting a data, draw a box. We have weeks here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th, and one more column to go, 8th week. Okay. Now this is a pH range. So the first one is on the first week, your pH range is 6, then 5.7, 5.3, 5.4. Third, on fifth week it is 3.2. Sixth and seventh it is 1.9 and 1.9. On eighth day it is 1.8. So you can see that pH level is decreasing, or you can say water is becoming more acidic. Okay, this is what the representation is there. We'll give you all 3 marks here. Always very easy one to represent the data, right? You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 together. They have given an 8th week 1.8. So pH level is decreasing, acidity increases. Now the first question based on this one is, state whether you agree with the scientist's conclusion, explain your answer. Yes, we agree. It first always mention, yes, I do agree with the statement. Reason, because the pH is decreasing. Okay, this is very important. First your statement, yes, and the pH is decreasing or the water is becoming more acidic. Next one, state the name of two other abiotic component that is present in the ecosystem. Abiotic components are nothing but non-living thing, non-living thing in ecosystem or in the ecology. So non-living thing is what? One is you can put water, second one you can put it as soil, or you can put temperature also. Okay, temperature. That's the temperature, soil, and water. Now, next one, state one human activity that emits sulfur dioxide. Yes, do you know which activity can emit sulfur dioxide? Yes, it's industry. Agriculture, industry, chemical industries, or basically anything, or transportation, transports. These are all emitting sulfur dioxide. And what is the impact? State one other impact of acid rain on the environment. Now we know that acid rain can cause acidification of lake, but other thing is the monuments. Okay, desh ki dharovar, monuments which are made up of calcium, basically calcium oxides, so, or calcium carbonate. So monuments actually get destroyed and the color will faint. So that is what is the impact of acid rain. Are we done here? 21 page. Oh, great. I think that was the last question of our part 2, and successfully we have completed. If you have any doubt, anything to ask from EVM or from bio or from chemistry to plan your revision, okay, about the revision plan, about the notes, or how to hack the question paper of these 3 subjects in exam hall. All the suggestions will be there in the next videos. Okay, so please subscribe the channel, keep watching the YouTube, enjoy the classes, and keep learning and keep smiling, guys. That's very important. You can reach me at this number 8686, or very fancy, 7475 39, and my email address already I have given, I think, on the my first session. Nope. Okay, that's my number for taking about the revision notes or hack the question paper in the exam hall, 8686747539. If you're out of India, please add plus 91, and then there you go. The email ID is ZOOLOGY, all small, dot Sudarshan, SUDARSHAN, at the rate a beautiful Gmail ID, gmail.com. Thank you for listening and sparing your time. Meet you in the next class. Have a great time and keep smiling and keep learning.